All right, let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals here as another team that is, I think there's weirdly a decent amount to talk about with them as, I think that they were a team that a lot of people thought could be in contention for the worst overall team, first pick situation. Were they going to get Caleb Williams? Well, no. Kyler came in and I thought played pretty well for them. The downside is now you don't get the number one overall draft pick, but you at least have a quarterback that you feel good in. The question is just, can they build the rest of the roster, as there's no denying there's some issues on this team. And in fact, let's even just start there with where kind of team is at. You look at where Pro Football Focus graded each of their units, and again, passing was 27th, but keep in mind, Kyler did not play for a lot of the year, so that obviously hurt it. And then Kyler also adds a lot of his value in the running game. The running game in general was graded best in football, with James Conner being maybe the most key part of that. But the rest of the offense was not great. 27th in receiving, 17th in pass blocking. You'll take that, but 26th in run blocking. So that's not very good. Defense also 32nd in run defense, 29th in coverage, 29th in pass rush. That's abysmal, quite frankly. So they need basically a whole new defense at this point. They need a lot of receivers. They need receiving help desperately. I like Kyler Murray. I think that, I don't think you need a quarterback, which is always nice. That's a nice luxury to have. But they need basically everything else. They do have good draft capital at this point. They have an extra draft pick as well from the Houston Texans Will Anderson trade, so you feel good about that. The question is just, how else can you get better? Yes, you can get better through the draft, but what else can you do? Well, starting off with their cap space and cash situation, they have some money. They certainly have some money to work with. $57 million in cap space, $96 million in projected cash, which tends to be the better indicator as how much money they'll really have to spend on players. So that's good. But again, there's always the question of, not just how many players not just how much money do you have, but who do you have to re-sign? Who are the key guys you want to make sure you keep in the building? Well, for them, luckily, they actually don't have a ton of key free agents at all. The only real one is Marquise Brown, which would be about $12 million, which, listen, Marquise Brown's a weird player in that, he was kind of almost considered like a disappointment by the Ravens for spending a first-round pick on him, and he didn't really live up to that hype. And then it was considered a really big question mark when the Cardinals traded a first-round pick for him. That was considered a big surprise, especially when we knew he was going to be a free agent soon. So that was the question mark as well. It was almost like a rental type situation, or you can pay him to keep him for longer. But Marquise Brown isn't usually the quality player that you have to make sure you trade for because they don't hit free agency. If he hits free agency, I don't even know if he'll be the top free agent wide receiver. So that's just why it was a weird move at the time. All that being said, he's still a good player you'd like to keep. You can argue you traded too much for him, whatever. I would still want to keep him in the building. And if it's $12 million a year to keep him in the building, I'm keeping him in the building. There's also the other factor, which is there are players they could move off of if they wanted to. This is the list. DJ Humphries, and again, a lot of these players, these are good players, right? Not players you want to move off of. Just if you want to clear up space, something you could do. Or if you want to trade some of these guys, clear up some cap space and get some draft capital. Like DJ Humphries, Budda Baker, James Conner could all clear up some decent money here. And there's a bunch of people that are in the $2 to $4 million range they could get rid of as well. But again, if you do get rid of those players, you got to replace them. So worth mentioning. But, there's some flexibility here for Arizona. As a whole, I don't know if there's, this is timeline-wise the last one of these I'm recording, although I think it'll be, I'll upload it before a handful of other ones. But I don't know if there's a team that is quite like Arizona in the way where they don't need a quarterback, but they need so much else. It's almost always the other way around, which is either you don't have a quarterback or a lot else, or you have a lot else but don't have the quarterback, or you have the quarterback and maybe you need, some improvements elsewhere. But I don't know if I've ever seen a team quite like Arizona is right now. Again, cap space $57 million, $96 million in cash. Should only cost about $12 million to re-sign. Only one player, $12 million to re-sign. They're key free agents, although there are other players, of course, that could clear up around, really, 39 to 50-ish million if they wanted, but then they'd be losing players. I don't know if they're going to do that, but you also don't have to. If I'm Arizona, I do think I'm addressing the receiving core, at least be good at something, you don't have to be a complete roster, but at least if you have a good passing attack, that can get you places, right? Use the draft capital you do have to try and improve, in that aspect, improved offense, I think. And the defense needs a complete overhaul, but maybe get some role players there with the free agency, right? You don't have to go out and get a star. If a star is available, get them, right? But you don't have to use that money to go out and get a star. Get some role players, and then try to build through the draft. You're in a bit of a rebuild. Not the worst thing in the world, though, because you have cap space and you have draft capital. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.